At the beginning of the film, we see a couple in a park. Both are celebrating Valentine's Day. Meanwhile, someone was taking pictures of them with a camera. The boy proposes to the girl and she happily agrees to marry him. Then the boy gets a call from the same cameraman. He had hired the cameraman to capture the moment. But the cameraman says the photos aren't good, so they'll have to do it again. The boy gets a little angry as they recreate the scene, and the cameraman records it. A killer appears. He stabs a knife straight through the cameraman's camera, which goes into his eye and out the back of his head, killing him instantly. The killer then uses the cameraman's phone to call the boy. The girl, thinking it's the cameraman, gets tired of waiting and takes the phone. But she only hears a recorded message from the cameraman. When she turns around, an arrow hits her friend's head, killing him too. The girl screams loudly and the killer attacks her. She manages to run away. The killer continues to attack her, but she hides behind a car. Suddenly, everything goes quiet. She wonders who the killer was and where he went, but he hadn't gone anywhere. He was coming for her. He attacks her again, but she runs away and falls. The killer catches up and shoots her with a crossbow. The arrow hits her foot and she screams. Despite her injury, she runs away and finds a winery where she asks a guard for help. The killer arrives and the guard pulls out a gun to stop him. The killer pulls out a knife with a heart-shaped handle and throws it at the guard's face, killing him before he can shoot. The killer then takes out a bigger knife to kill the girl, but she runs and hides under a machine. He soon finds her and reaches his hand into the machine's window, grabbing her neck. She fights back and closes the window, trapping the killer's hand and forcing him to pull it out. The killer then realizes that the machine she's in grinds grapes to make wine. He turns on the machine. The girl sees a part of the machine moving toward her to grind her and starts screaming. The killer watches her, enjoying her fear. The machine gets closer, and just as it's about to crush her, he presses a button that breaks her into pieces. Her blood comes out of the machine like wine. In the winery, the killer makes a heart shape out of flowers, with a hunter's heart in the middle. This was the killer's signature, and he was known as Hard Eyes because of the heart-shaped eyes on his mask. The film's title is Hard Eyes. After this incident, the media reports that the Hard Eyes killer has returned on Valentine's Day. He targets couples but will kill anyone who gets in his way. This killer first appeared 2 years ago and has been killing couples every Valentine's Day. The media advises all girls to avoid Valentine's Day, to stay single and to stay home to avoid the Hard Eyes killer. Some people agree, but others say they shouldn't be afraid. We then meet the main character, Ellie, who recently broke up with her boyfriend and is now single. She still misses her ex-boyfriend. Ellie's friend notices. She's sad, but Ellie changes the subject, saying she's nervous about presenting her ad at work. Ellie and her friend work at a jewelry company where Ellie is a designer. She was tasked with making an ad with a love theme, but Ellie is heartbroken, so she makes an ad where a couple breaks up and the boy is killed. No one likes the ad. Her boss is very angry and says Ellie has wasted his time to fix it. The boss hires a freelancer named Jay, who recently made a viral love-themed ad. Ellie is scared he might take her job, but Jay says he will work with her, and they are now a team. Meanwhile, we see a detective and a female officer investigating the crime scene at the winery. There they find a blood-stained ring that doesn't belong to the victims. They think it might belong to the killer. The ring has JS written on it, and they keep it as evidence. Jay asks Ellie to have dinner with him at a romantic spot for inspiration for the ad. He says it's a work date, but Ellie points out that it's Valentine's Day. Jay, who is single, had forgotten. He assumes she has plans with her partner, but Ellie says she's single. Jay says this is the best time to go, but Ellie is worried and says she's not in the mood and suggests they have dinner tomorrow. Jay says he can't go tomorrow because of a friend's wedding, so Ellie agrees. When Ellie arrives at the hotel, she is nervous and checks the security because of the Hard Eyes killer reports. The metal detector goes off. The guard finds a metal straw, and Ellie explains that she doesn't like paper straws, so she always carries her own clean one. She then goes and sits at a table. Jay arrives, and the waiter jokes that her date has arrived. Ellie immediately says he's not her date and that they are just working together. Jay sits with her and orders drinks as Ellie shares her ad ideas. Jay seems more interested in her than the work and asks her if her heart is broken. Ellie denies it and tells him to stay away from her. Jay says he just asked because of her ad. But Ellie gets defensive and asks him who he is to judge her. She says her heart is full of hatred. Jay gets angry and leaves, telling her to calm down before they can work together. Ellie realizes she said too much and goes outside to apologize. She says she's fine and asks for his help with the ad so she doesn't lose her job. She then sees her ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend, so she hugs Jay to make him jealous. Jay, a sensible man, immediately understands what she's doing and plays along pretending to be her boyfriend. But they don't know that the hard-eyes killer saw them hugging and thinks they are a real couple, and his next target, Jay, then drives Ellie home. But he notices that she can't find her keys. He thinks about helping her, but doesn't. The taxi driver notices and encourages Jay to help her and tell her how he feels. Jay goes to Ellie and asks if there's a problem. Ellie says she lost her keys but will break a window to get inside. Jay tells her not to get hurt and says he can do it easily. Without getting hurt, Jay punches the window but ends up hurting himself. Ellie feels responsible and takes him inside to clean his hand. She tells him she used to be a medical student, but quit. Ellie then remembers something she forgot to put in the closet and goes to get it. But the killer was hiding in the closet. Ellie gets scared and attacks him, fighting with whatever she can find. The killer hits her hard and throws her against a wall, then pulls out his knife to kill her. But Ellie hits him with a lamp, giving them a chance to run out and lock him in the room. The killer stabs his knife through the door. They run out of the house into the street, planning to get in a taxi, but the killer kills the taxi driver. The killer then pulls out his sword to kill them. Ellie angrily yells that there's a misunderstanding and they aren't a couple and tells him to leave them alone. Jay tries to call the police, but the killer sees him and destroys his phone. They both run away, but find the road ahead is closed. The killer catches Ellie, but Jay tries to save her and is knocked unconscious. Ellie runs away, but the killer follows her. She hides in a big swing, and when she comes out, he isn't there. She turns on the swing and swings at full speed, but it suddenly stops and she falls. The killer attacks her, but she escapes and kicks him as she runs. She falls again, but before the killer can kill her, the police arrive and he runs away. The police save Ellie. But then Ellie finds something strange. The police have caught Jay, thinking he is the killer. Ellie says it's not possible that he was with her. She goes to talk to Jay, but he is angry with her and says he thought they were a team, but she left him alone. Ellie says what could she have done? The killer was behind her. She asks the officer how they can say Jay is the killer, and they show her a weapon and mask found near him. Ellie says Jay is innocent, but they don't listen and take him away. During interrogation, they show Jay the ring from the crime scene and ask if it's his because his full name is Jay Simon Jay. Denies it, saying he is single. The detective says that Jay's location matches all the crime scenes. Jay explains that he's a freelancer and travels for work, and that it's just a coincidence and he's innocent. But the detectives don't believe him. Ellie arrives at the police station and tells them Jay is innocent, but no one listens to her. A boy named David is interested in Ellie and offers her coffee and asks her on a date, but she refuses. David says, "No problem. We are happy the killer has been caught," and leaves. The female officer asks Ellie, "If you are single, then why is the killer after you?" Ellie explains that she hugged Jay to make her ex jealous, and the killer must have seen it and thought they were a couple. Suddenly, the lights go out, but the female officer turns on her flashlight and sends another officer to check the main power line. Ellie follows her, but the killer is already there and kills the police officer. Ellie goes to get the flashlight, but the killer takes it and turns it off. He uses the night vision on his mask to look for Ellie. She cleverly attacks him and runs away. She meets the female officer and tells her the killer is behind her. The killer arrives and sees them. Ellie runs, but the officer is left behind. Jay and the detective hear a gunshot and the female officer screams, so the detective goes to save her. But the killer appears and attacks her. He stabs her in the legs and rips her in half, killing her. The killer then comes to kill Jay. Jay can't run because he is handcuffed, but he still defends himself against the killer's attacks. Ellie arrives and starts firing her gun, so the killer runs away. Ellie helps Jay with his handcuffs, and they both run to a parking area where couples are watching a movie. The killer also arrives and starts killing the couples. Everyone thinks he's a masked fan and isn't scared of him. He cuts a man and says, "Happy Valentine's Day." Jay and Ellie are still running. They hide in a big white van with a couple inside who are talking. Jay and Ellie tell them to be quiet, or the killer will come, but they are drunk and don't listen. The killer comes and stabs the boy in the mouth with a sword, and then forces his girlfriend's face into the sword, killing them both. The killer starts killing everyone one by one. The area is in chaos. Ellie says they brought this death here, so they have to take it away. They make a plan to fight the hard-eyes killer. Jay yells at him from a distance to come and fight, so the killer leaves everyone else and goes after them. Jay says they don't have weapons, but Ellie shows him her metal straw. Jay says it won't work, so they have to think of something else. They remember the sword from the man's mouth and take it out as the killer approaches. Jay fights him with the sword, but the killer disarms him and knocks him down. The killer is about to kill Jay with his knife, but Ellie attacks him from behind, with a heavy object breaking his head and making him bleed. The killer's knife falls out of his hand, but he still catches Ellie. Jay picks up the knife and stabs the killer in the back, killing him. They take off his mask but don't recognize him. The police praise them for stopping the killer and say they will be famous. A female officer talks to Jay about giving him a ride and seems interested in him, making Ellie jealous. Jay says he's going to the airport and will call a car, but she insists on giving him a ride, so Jay says goodbye to Ellie. Ellie goes home and realizes she is in love with Jay and regrets letting him go. She calls her friend who tells her to go to the airport and tell him how she feels. Ellie runs to the airport looking for Jay, but gets a call from the hard-eyes killer. Ellie answers and is shocked to hear his voice. He tells her not to think and to go to a location if she wants Jay to be safe. When she gets there, she sees that Jay has been captured. The real hard-eyes killer is the boy from the police station, David. But there are two killers, David and his wife, who is the female officer who offered Jay a ride. Ellie asks why they are doing this, and they say they enjoy killing couples. The old killer was just a fan. David says he saw Ellie and Jay hugging and thought they were a couple. The killer from the closet was his wife. The officer David killed the taxi driver, and his wife helped by faking an attack so David could kill the detective. The ring with J.S. was his wife's because her full name was J.S. They give Ellie an ultimatum. If she loves Jay, she will shoot herself, otherwise she will shoot Jay, and they will let her go. Ellie chooses to save Jay and tells him she loves him as she puts the gun to her head. Jay tries to stop her, but she shoots Jay. This is because she knew they were playing a game, and she had to kill them, but she deliberately shot Jay in the shoulder so that the bullet would ricochet off of him and hit David's wife. David was laughing until he saw his wife fall down and realized what had happened. Jay and Ellie run, but David catches Jay, and his wife, who is now back up, catches Ellie. They are about to kill them both, but Jay cleverly grabs an arrow from David's pocket and stabs him in the head with it. The arrow goes through his nose and he falls into some candles. Ellie stabs David's wife in the neck with her metal straw and pushes her into a statue, breaking her neck and killing her. David, who is now on fire, comes toward her. Jay shoots him with a crossbow, killing him. A year later, Ellie and Jay's love ad is a success. Ellie quits her job to go back to medical school. She proposes to Jay at the airport gate, and he happily agrees. The film ends with their story.